Welcome back to this ongoing series on the making of an awesome men's shirt using New Look 6197 View A. In part 1, we cut and prepared our fabric. This time, we'll be working on the back of the shirt, attaching the front breast pocket, and sewing up the shoulders. We begin with pattern piece number 4. Transfer these pleat lines to your fabric using a tracing wheel and fabric-safe carbon paper. You'll need to create 2 mirror image sets of these lines, one pair to the left and one pair to the right of center back. Working with the fabric right side up, that is, with the wrong side facing down against your work surface, make a crease along each solid line, and then bring those creases down to rest along the corresponding dotted lines. Once everything is folded, you're going to pin and baste along the top to secure that pleat nicely in place. That was just practice. Now let's do that to your fabric. It's a little hard to see, but if you look close, you can see the lines that I've traced onto the right side of my fabric. I find it helpful to use my fingernails to crease along the solid line to get it nice and sharp before bringing that crease down to rest on top of the dotted line. Using a long machine stitch, baste 5/8 of an inch away from the edge to secure this pleat in place. You can iron along the top a little bit just to get it to lay flat. By the way, the pleat is step 5 in the pattern instructions, and you can see a little diagram there of what it should look like after it's done. Now it's time to connect the top portion of the back of the shirt, aka the yoke, to the bottom portion of the shirt. You're going to line up these edges, pin, 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 and then you are going to stitch with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Along the way, you're going to find that you can match some of those notches that you created at the cutting stage. It's good practice to pin wherever you have matched notches. Now it's time to stitch with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance all along this edge, pulling out pins as you go. And when you're done, it should look something like this. Now press all along the seam line, making sure that the seam allowances are flipped up towards the yoke. Here's a look at the wrong side. I'm ironing on this side too. Now for the pocket. We begin by flipping it over to the wrong side, and we are going to crease along that fold line. flip it over and you are going to fold and press 1/4 inch away from the edge as shown. Pin each side. Now take this to the sewing machine and sew with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, not just at the top, all the way around. Rather than to try to find perfect pivot points at each of these corners, I just went ahead and sewed end to end along each of the edges. In the process, I crisscrossed the lines, and that's okay. Trim carefully 1/4 inch away from the seam line as shown here. Do not get too close to the seam line and only cut as far down as shown here. Now flip the top part of the pocket right side out and use a point turner tool to get those corners looking nice and sharp. Press along the top of the pocket and then fold and press along those stitching lines you created earlier. Voila! That's French for what a sharp looking pocket. Now pin and stitch to secure the facing along the top edge of the pocket. Now it's time to take our beautiful pocket and pin and edge stitch it to the front of the shirt. Now this pattern invites you to create 2 pockets and attach one to each side of the shirt, but I have opted to make only one, which I am going to attach to the front left of the shirt. From the wrong side, stick a pin through the center of each of the circle symbols and then flip it back over to the right side. Now you can see where the circles are from the right side of the fabric because that's where the pins are poking out. Place the top corners of the pockets at the pins and then pin through all layers to secure that pocket in the correct place to the front of the shirt. Try not to shift the pocket out of place as you are pinning. Sorry, it's a bit of circuit board on circuit board here, so a little hard to see, but do check your pattern instructions if you're confused, and the included diagrams should help clear things up. Eventually, you can remove the pins poking out from underneath and then edge stitch to secure the pocket to the front of the shirt all around, skipping the top. Obviously, you don't want to sew the top of your pocket shut or you will not be able to reach into it, and that would be sad. Here's a look at the wrong side, and if you've been careful in placing the pocket, your stitching lines should end right at the circle symbols. Next, take the front and back shirt pieces and stitch 1/2 inch away from the entire edge of the neckline portions. This is called stay stitching and helps prevent accidental stretching and distortion of the neckline while you manipulate and sew these fabric pieces together. Now you can pin and stitch the front and back shirt pieces along the shoulders. That's how it should look after stitching. Now grab your iron and press open your seam allowances. And that'll do it for this installment. Next time, we'll be taking a detailed look at constructing the collar and finishing the front edges of the shirt.